Hello and welcome to Faith with Flavor. Today on the show is Nick Bravo, a self-made entrepreneur. He's here to give us tips on how to start your own business and be successful at it. Also, how to keep God first in your business and find balance in the midst of it all. We got a chance to enter his home where he displayed some of the perks of being your own boss. Watch the special segment known as Real Life 101. Every morning, Nick begins the day with a moment of reading and devotion before going to work. Working mostly from home, he considers himself a personal mentor to CEOs. He gave us his view on what it means to be an entrepreneur.
When you're an entrepreneur, you're creating something and you're bringing it to the marketplace. Sometimes it's new, and usually it's new or it's innovative, and you actually have to believe that people can use it. There's also a level of risk that comes with being an entrepreneur, and you have to, in your mind, mentally consider risk a necessary part of success.
And while considering the risk is important, being your own boss comes with many benefits that potentially outweigh the risk involved.
Who wants to go to work with me? One is freedom. I wanted the freedom to run my own schedule. I wanted the freedom to operate the way I wanted to operate. And I wanted to be in a place where I could create my own resources, be my own boss, and work with who I chose to work with.
Nick also made it clear that association is a vital component of success.
I was surrounding myself with a community of people who were going after big things. And that was important because we're all feeling the same emotions. We're all feeling the same risk, but when you're in a community where you see people succeeding, going after things, it motivates and helped me see that I'm capable of the same things.
With so many details going into starting a new business, it's also important to have a clear understanding of the obstacles along the road.
The biggest hurdle was myself. I mean, it's so easy. There's so many fears in the mind that lock up.
Lastly, he gave us tips on what type of mindset to have when entering the business world.
College students coming out of college, I think one is you're going to have to know and step out in the market and say no one's going to hand it to you. In the entrepreneur world, people really don't care about the degrees. They care about performance and results. And so it's important when you step into the market to look at what you're going to bring to the table and ask yourself if it can really serve people. It really comes down to what can you bring to the market, what can you do, and how is it going to benefit people, and how is your product going to be different. It's important that you bring a high level of work ethic, passion, and charisma to whatever you bring into the market so people will pay attention. And whatever you do, do it with the highest level of excellence and highest level of integrity.
If you just started tuning into Faith with Flavor, today's guest is entrepreneur Nick Bravo. Nick, thank you so much for being here with us. Such a pleasure to have you here.
Absolutely.
So I love what you said at the end of that segment right there, where you were really encouraging, future entrepreneurs and college students to really, go out there and hustle. Can we dive into that a little bit more?
Yeah, so I know hustle is not very descriptive. I'm all about working effectively and not just being busy, but I think when you're starting anything, you have to have a level of a grind and intense diligence to build a foundation. And I think what happens is people go to college, they're told that if they get a degree, which for about 4 years they're used to hustling and getting the degree, there's a lot of people who think that when you get out of college, now it's time to just take your certificate, show the employer what you're made of, and get a job, and it's easy, and that's not the case. The fact is the marketplace is not what it used to be. A lot of people have degrees right now, and so the question comes is not whether you have a degree, but how are you going to stand out against all the other people who have degrees. And I think that comes down to the work ethic aspect of things. And I think the one thing college can't always guarantee an employer is that the applicant has a work ethic, because some people have managed to cheat their way through college, and some people have managed to work hard, and an employer can't tell the difference because they both have certificates. And so I think work ethic is so important when you step into the workplace, not assuming, oh, I have a degree, thus the employer assumes I'm good at working. You have to step in there with an attitude that I need to start from the bottom and work my way up and prove myself. And so I think the danger is there's a lot of attitude I see with people my age, younger people, who come into the workplace with a sense of entitlement And because of that, there's not that hustle. I've already hustled. I've already been working hard. Now it's my time to kind of just give me 50 grand and up. And that's not how it works out there. And I'm finding people getting a rude awakening. So the best encouragement I can say is humble yourself, go into the workplace. Yeah, you have a degree, but at some point you need experience and you need to build a foundation. And that experience is really what's going to take you further than the degree. The degree is the knowledge, the experience is the knowledge applied. And so that's what I mean by hustle. Be ready to go in there and work hard and prove yourself. That's really good.
And what do you enjoy the most about being your own boss?
Well, I get time to just come hang out with you. I mean, on a regular day, right? In the middle of the day, I set my own schedule. So the freedom of having my own schedule, my family is really important to me, my baby girls. And there's just nothing like being able to set my own time with my family, and set my own time with my kids, and also set my own time on when I want to work, when I don't want to work. So that's pretty awesome. And then not having to deal with that difficult personality of a boss, some people are. I had a few of them when I was coming up.
Okay.
And I had some difficult bosses. And you know, when you're working, you just kind of got to do it, right? You got to make the money. But you know, I started realizing, wait, I'm smarter than some of these guys. And the thing is, the workforce doesn't necessarily let you say that. You can't say, you know, I'm a little smarter than you. Why don't you do it this way? You get in trouble.
You'll get fired.
Yeah, you get fired. But in the marketplace, as an entrepreneur, when I say I'm going to use my mind and my wisdom to create a system that's more efficient, I get paid for that. And so that same attitude in one context can be disrespectful, and in another context is the very thing that's helped me thrive. And so I like the fact that I can put all my gifts, my passions, and my ingenuity in one channel and not be reprimanded, but instead use it as a catalyst to shoot me forward. And so I kind of like the freedom to create. Does it make sense?
Yes, definitely. Okay. Now, there's also a scripture in the Bible, in Habakkuk 2:2, that talks about writing the vision down and making it plain. But tell me about your vision for your business plan. What did you do to get there?
So like I said before, I think on our other interview at my house, I didn't have a business plan, which is kind of, some people go, oh my gosh, but if anything, I hope it's an encouragement that sometimes things don't have to look perfectly for you to jump out in a level of faith and risk. But for me, I had a greater vision, yes. My vision, my passion, there always has to be something that drives the work ethic, right? And so for me, I have a passion to impact Los Angeles. God has given me a passion and a heartbeat to look at Los Angeles. And the way I look at the city of Los Angeles, there's a lot of strengths like a company, and there's a lot of weaknesses, and there's a lot of people that are being neglected, and there's a lot of problems with the systems over there, and there's a lot of kids coming up in poverty-stricken households and different things, and there's a lot of things, problems there. And I desire to go in there and create programs and work with local programs to create resources and things for a young child to be able to come up, maybe 5 years old, maybe his dad's a drug addict, his mom's a prostitute, but I provide him with the resources to work his way all the way up into manhood, and then provide programs in fatherhood and families and things like that. And so that's my big vision. And so that drives me. And in order to do that, in order for me to get there, I need something called money. It's a very practical thing. And so as an entrepreneur, the cool thing is you got no limit to what you can make. And so I want to do that, and also because of that, like I said, it costs a lot of money. I honestly come from the mindset, and everybody has a different perspective, is I don't like being told what to do. So I'd rather become a billionaire, walk in and start creating my own things at my own pace with my own business skills, hire the people I want to run the organizations I oversee, and then my dream would be to coach them. So honestly, my long-term dream is to have like 20 organizations with executive directors that are multi-million-dollar organizations that help the community, that all I'm doing is using my gifts to support them from top-down leadership to run all these nonprofits and organizations. So that's long-term.
Okay.
So
it sounds like you're a big visionary from what you're telling me here.
Yeah. And you know what? It's crazy because people go like, "Where did you get that heartbeat?" Well, I gave my life to the Lord, and God decides to make my heart beat for what He wants. And
now, getting back to your business, what is it exactly that you do? So
for me, I actually coach CEOs, executives, and leaders in organizations. So like I said, it falls into my vision. The cool thing about it is a well-paying job. It is a performance-based job where I support an executive or a leader of an organization to help them set up their week. Every leader of every organization has a lot on their plate, a lot of things coming at them. It can get really overwhelming. Most small business owners or leaders, there's just a lot they have to manage. And a lot of times they don't have the right support they're the ones who are supposed to support everybody. And so there's this thing that I've seen is a lot of men and women have this complex of I can handle it, I'm strong, I'm the leader. And the problem with that is we all are human beings and we have these things called blind spots, which we can't see sometimes our weaknesses. And so what I do is I come in and I support an organization or a leader saying, someone might say, okay, this is the issue I have in an organization, I can't fix it. I think it's this employee, this employee, and this employee. Well, then I come in and spend time with that leader and realize, no, actually there's some blind spots and you're operating this way, this way, and this way. Your employees are responding to your leadership. And so I help the leader change. So
you're there to kind of bring correction to the CEO.
Yes, but not only that, I mean, it's also encouragement. They're human beings. People look at CEOs like, you're just the man, you make money, or the woman, and you have, nothing hurts you. No, they're scared. They don't. Some of them really do care about their employees, and if they make a bad decision, they're going to lose profits, or they're going to do something. They're going to have to tell people they have to go home and can't work anymore. And so for me, my coaching is very personal, where we become friends, and they know that they can tell me they're scared, and they can tell me they're worried. And so part of what I am there is a support and an encouragement to help them fulfill their vision and help remind them when they're cluttered and everything's crazy. Sometimes they don't think they're doing a good job, and I know they're doing a good job. So that could be a blind spot. They're too hard on themselves. And I can sit there and say, look what we've accomplished in the last few weeks. Look what you've been able to do. And so anyways, my coaching is very customized depending on the need of the leader. But it comes out of one philosophy, and this is a philosophy that I came from an organization I worked with, Clayton Associates, which is, as goes the leader, so goes the organization. And so when I look at an organization, I don't say, oh, the problems are this part of the organization. I look at one person, the top. And so my philosophy is if you fix the top, the rest will fall in line. And so that's why I only work with the top leaders, because I know in doing so, I'm helping impact them, support them, and I'm helping them impact the lives of all those underneath them.
And how did you come to know the Lord?
Me, I was a crazy kid, crazy kid. I mean, I remember when my mom took me to church, they assigned 2 youth pastors to me. No, they assigned 1 youth pastor, but just to me. Like one, just specifically assigned to me because I was crazy. I bounced off the walls.
Too much coffee at a young age?
No, it wasn't even coffee. It was natural God-given rebellion. I was joking. I was just crazy. I didn't have a dad, and that's why my passion is for fatherhood, and I do just see the role of a father. I know what it's like not to have a father, why I'm passionate about being a father. But when I was 16 years old, I gave my life to the Lord. I was at this Christian camp called Quaker Meadow Christian Camp. I went there for a long time, decided to get my life right. I had a 1.9 GPA. I knew I was capable of more. 1.9 is not a good GPA, by the way. It's a bad GPA. And I got suspended 4 times freshman year, and I remember just saying, God, use my life. I mean, I don't know what to do with it. It's a mess. And the following year, I ended with a 4.0. And I just remember God became my passion. And because he was my passion, he became the reason why I do things. And so I worked hard because I wanted to give glory to God. Why? Because he changed my life. He saved me. And so everything became the crux of everything I do. So that's how I got saved, and then that's led all the way up to the point of me I'm very young, I'm 28 years old. So I was 16 years old, so 12 years ago. So since 12 years ago, I was a snot-nosed high schooler who was crazy, who got suspended 4 times, and 12 years later, I'm sitting in front of you, which just goes to show what God's capable to do through his vessels.
So you really feel like discipleship really played a huge role in your life?
Yeah, I had a strong local little church with the people who really poured into me, my family, and me. And then all throughout my last 12 years, because I had a gap of a father, I really decided that I wasn't going to allow that to be my what breaks me, because I became a father at a young age. And so part of my passion was, how do I surround myself with grown men who have been successful in areas that I'm not? So I've surrounded myself with strong pastors who oversee their families, strong people who are strong with their finances. And because I've surrounded myself with lots of mentors and people who are successful in different areas, it's kind of like a surrogate father. Like, they're all pieces of a father, what my father should have been to me. And that's why I think at 28, I carry myself differently, is because I surrounded myself with a lot of people to pour into my life.
Now, besides being an entrepreneur, you're also a rapper.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm a lot of things. So I'm not.
So how did you discover that gift of being a rapper?
So it all kind of happened at the same time. So I started with God used me, and I think God thought it was funny. I'll use a suburban kid to rap, right? I could listen to Eminem back in the day and like Dr. Dre and stuff, but I remember sitting there and I started writing poetry. It started with poetry. Now I'm 16 years old. I just became Christian, but I still like girls, and And I'm thinking like, they're gonna think I'm weak if I write poems. But I started writing poems. I started writing lots of poems, and then pouring my heart out, and I started realizing I was really good at it. And I remember at some point I felt like God put on my heart that I needed to read it in front of my high school. So by junior year, now everybody knew me as a class clown. But by junior year, everybody heard at the Battle of the Bands, right? This is SD Live. This is when everybody's like, this is the cool stuff. You know, people are doing hip-hop dance routines and band stuff, and Bravo's going to do a poem? Like, oh, I want to see this.
Yeah.
And so I remember being like, man, God, I can't believe you asked me to do this. I'm going to ruin my entire reputation. So I stand up at probably 17 years old, stand up in front of 500 people, their families, at a public high school, and read a poem about Jesus.
Aww.
Which was crazy. Because people were like, well, I didn't want people to think I was a hypocrite, so I stood up and immediately apologized before I said, before I do this poem, I want to apologize for all the people I hurt. And it was crazy because all the girls were like, yeah, you did this and did this. I was like, I'm sorry, I was not a nice guy. And then I read the poem and I told them everyone I became a Christian, and the place erupted. Public high school erupted. I think the kids just appreciated someone who genuinely changed. And so the poem,
rawness of it.
Yeah, I mean, in high school, nobody stands for anything. So here's Bravo, the crazy kid, who's actually standing for faith, and he doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a crazy kid, and so that poetry slowly over time started morphing into rap, and my little brother called it rap, and then I started realizing that I could impact and speak to a whole different culture and generation with rap.
And we actually have one of those videos of one of the songs that you wrote. So now we're going to go ahead and take a look at Nick Bravo, the rapper, with his song called Dreamers. Watch this.
My fears are shaking me up, telling me to wake up. You're up in dreamland. Can't do this. I'm feeling like Judas, betraying myself. My doubts are calling me out, constricting my airflow. Too high in the clouds like an air show. Bravo, it's time to bring it low to its pressure. Be careful. Gravity will hit you with the fist. You are foolish, thinking that you're limitless. You refuse to admit what your limit is. Like Peter Pan in Neverland, you think that you'll never land. Your dreams are make believe, fiction or fantasy. Probability says that you'll never be. Probability is not in my vocabulary. This is for the dreamers, for the underdogs, for those aiming for the moon and the stars. People tell you you can't cause they don't take a chance, but I'm here to tell you it's time to advance. I tell myself I can't, that's why I will mix up an elixir of passion and skill, ambition and zeal, cause my conviction is real. Just look at the real of my life and you will feel what I feel. Yeah, 21, no college degree, bad economy, young family, $20 a week to eat, had little feet, and they follow me, my first daughter, learning to be a father, working hard on my skill set, my skill gets better every time a goal is met. More reps, man, never forget. Humble beginning, 7 years later, building more than $1 million of revenue, becoming the MVP for the company. Now I'm on my own, not here to brag, just here to tell the truth. I hope this inspires you to do what you're passionate to. This is for the dreamers, for the underdogs, for those aiming for the moon and the stars. People tell you you can't cause they don't take a chance, but I'm here to tell you it's time to advance. It's time to advance. It's time to advance. I know it's been a hard road and it's been a hard load on my back. Fell on my face quite a few times and I could have chose to react. Could have quit, could have gave up quick, could have gave in, could have caved in, could have froze up, but I rose up and I chose the road less traveled. See, I refuse to choose the path of least resistance. I welcome the challenge and I will greet it with persistent insistent on fulfilling my mission, willing to risk it and go the distance. I'm driven by conviction. Listen, I know there've been so many rocky roads in between. Sometimes I will yell, I scream, but now it's sweet. The pressure produces diamonds, and diamonds are forever Zales. So I guess you could say the pressure produces treasure. Creating relations with television stations, working with probation, recognition by Los Angeles politicians, inspiring kids, getting gigs, living life on the edge, being a mentor, motivating youngins. This is what it was meant for. Kicking through the door of the status quo, aiming for more, but steadily grinding, building a dream. Green building is what I mean. I don't drink, but I'm serving bars to men, make the doubters believe. I like a locomotive, like a locomotive. I'm just building steam. This is for the dreamers, for the underdogs, for those aiming for the moon and the stars. People tell you you can't cause they don't take a chance. But I'm here to tell you, it's time to advance. It's time to advance. It's time to advance. It's time to advance. It's time to advance.
If you just started tuning into Faith with Flavor, that was a song written and produced by Nick Bravo called Dreamers. Now tell us, Nick, about that song. That was a really cool song right there.
Yeah.
What were you hoping your audience would get out of that song?
So I actually decided that, people look at rap as a separate art form from a separate type of people, and then business is a separate type of thing. And I wanted to blend it because it's who I am. And my goal was, I was going to do testimonials from my clients about my coaching. But I thought, what's the best way for people to see a little part of who I am and my creativity without having to do it the way everybody else does it? So I decided I'm going to use music, and I'm going to use rap, which most people think that would be a bad idea to use rap. But actually, it was phenomenal. I mean, the product ended up better than I thought. And then one, it was to be able to tell my story. It's hard to stand up and say, I brought 1.6 million into a company and all this. People go, oh, you're arrogant and you're boastful. But somehow if you tell it in a song, it's a story. So I said, how do I tell my story and inspire people, and also encourage people, but also put my skills on the table, but also showcase my marketing and the way I think outside the box, and be able to allow people to see it. So if you're a leader and you say, I don't know much about this guy, I've heard about him, and you see this video, you might not like rap, but just say, this guy's creative. This guy's outside of the box. I mean, and his story is inspiring, and so I want him to come in and coach me. So I really used it as a commercial. But it also feeds into my music because people in the music scene love it because they think, how the heck did you get access to a $4 million helicopter? How did you put this whole production together? And so it feeds my music business side and also feeds the coaching side.
Okay. And why do you feel is the most common reason why someone stops pursuing a business idea?
I think the idea of risk and fear, it's scary. I mean, it is scary. I mean, I think we all have the sense where we don't want to be looked at as a fool. And when you risk something and go after something, there's that chance, right? Nobody wants to fail, or nobody, at least some people, we like to fail, but we like to fail behind the doors. We don't want anybody to see us. And I think some of it is just lack of planning. Lack of, some people are trying to go into a business that they're really not skilled at or they're not prepared for. I dealt with a young man who was all excited about contracting work. I had been in contracting work for years, and he was telling me about the job he was doing, and I'm thinking, he was all excited, but he's stressed out. And I'm going, you shouldn't be doing that job. Well, why? Because you don't have a contractor's license. He had no clue. You don't have liability insurance. You're going to expose the entire household. And so he realized, oh my gosh. And so you have that side of things where someone fully believes it but is not prepared. And then you have the other side where someone is fully prepared but doesn't believe it. And both are destructive. I think preparation is necessary, and preparation, I think, eradicates fear. And so if you're prepared, you can walk into something confidently. But also I think, this is what I do for a living, this is why I think it, I think everybody needs a coach.
Yeah.
I think being an entrepreneur and starting something new there's a lot of mixed emotions, and you need to be with somebody who's a mentor or who's done it or is doing it that can help navigate you weekly and help you set up a plan weekly to tackle it so that it doesn't become a monster.
And how do you keep God first in your business?
Well, I've said this before. I mean, I'm a walking, talking miracle of God's grace. So I think God is just stamped on my forehead because it's just like, this fool, I'm going to take this fool, crazy kid, and make him into a pillar for the community and for business leaders. And but God is everything. I mean, every time I go into a coaching call, I understand that it's a serious thing. This is a leader who oversees an organization who's going to listen to what I have to say, and depending on what I say and how I lead them will affect the organization, right? So if I believe fully that as goes the leader, goes the organization, and they're letting me lead them, then I understand there's a serious weight that I'm overseeing them. And so for me, it's a lot of prayer and submitting myself to God and saying, hey, may I never be so confident to think that I know everything, because I'm really young, I don't know everything. I know a lot for what you've given me, but I need wisdom, I need discretion, understanding in every situation so I can speak into this leader's life and help them, support them in where they need to go. And so prayer is an active part of my life. And the Word of God, I think in Proverbs brings a lot of wisdom. And so I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if that answers your question, but
I want you to look into that camera for me right now.
Yeah.
And maybe there's somebody watching who has a dream of becoming an entrepreneur, but maybe doesn't have the faith to begin. Would you just encourage them right now?
Yeah, I want to encourage you, if it's something that you're passionate about, to pursue it. I mean, there's a million ways to pursue it, but just get the ball rolling. Start with something small. and then surround yourself with a community of people who will support you. When you start something, it's vital, it's absolutely vital that you have the right people around you. So I would encourage you not to just throw it at anybody. Look at the people who've been in your life, who've backed you from the very beginning, who've supported you in the past. And if you don't have those people, find those people and then go after it. And at the same time, if you're worried about finances or things like that, I have a mentality. If you're worried about the finances, then work a part-time job and hustle hard and create that dream. But don't stop, or don't not try because you don't know how to do it. When I started my company, I literally had an idea to become a coach. I made a couple phone calls, and before you knew it, I was coaching people. And so fear could have kept me from picking up that phone. So I just want to encourage you to make a move and keep making moves and surround yourself with support. And you'll learn by trial and error, but at least you're moving forward. But when you sit still and you don't move, you end up stuck. And so I would just say start moving, start going, start doing something, and it'll come. It'll come over time. And you'll learn, and you'll grow, and it'll take time.
Amen. Well said. That was awesome. One more question. How do you find balance in the midst of it all?
Well, I'm 28. I managed to burn out at 24. So I learned through trial and error. I was doing a lot. I was doing a juvie tour, and I was managing accounts, and I was a youth pastor, and then I had 3 kids within a few years. Yeah. And so there became a point where I was, I had too much on my plate. Mm-hmm. And so that was a learning lesson, and I have since then adjusted. Mm-hmm. And now, part of the reality is I have a Google Calendar, which is a godsend. Thank God for Google. Google Calendar has changed the world. It really does. Mm-hmm. I have structured family time. I have structured business time, and the big thing is I have a coach. My coach is David Solomon. He supports me weekly on making sure that I'm setting aside that appropriate time to be with my family.
That's really good. Nick, thank you so much for being here with us. It was such a pleasure to have you. And thank you at home for watching Faith with Flavor. I love you. And don't forget to follow TBN Salsa on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And stay connected via tbn-salsa.org. God bless you. Bye-bye. Love you.